Oh, welcome back, my friends, to another live conversation today with my dear friend, Dāli Rivera. We just love to have open, nuanced conversations about all kinds of topics. And recently I saw online that Dāli was having some conversations about AI, and I jumped in and I said, why don't we do a podcast about this? Let's see what comes up. So that's what we're here to do today. And I've titled this episode Automated Thinking in the Age of AI because that's part of what we're here to talk about. So, Dāli, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself.
Yes, so I am a bullying prevention educator and keynote speaker and author. So part of the reason why I became interested in this topic of AI is obviously because cyberbullying is happening, but within cyberbullying, there's so much more. And then there's so many intersections, and I'm very concerned for humanity as of right now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, my friend. Oh my gosh, yes. So, just with that, there's a lot we could talk about. But just in case you don't know me, I'm Safrianna Luna, the Queer Spirit Guide, and I'm a trauma therapist turned transformational mentor, author, speaker, CEO. And I'm very interested in this topic because I'm a small business owner. We both are small business owners, right? And about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years at this point, the AI craze swept our field, right? And all of a sudden we had a lot to contend with and look at that we never did before. Also, good morning, Dory. Good to see you here. So, I just want to start this story because I don't think you know this, Dāli, but
Mhm.
when I was a little kid, like we're talking 3 to 5 years old, I had not yet been exposed to science fiction aside from my dad would watch Star Trek in the background, right? But they didn't really talk that I remember about artificial intelligence. But 3 to 5 years old, I had this like download that one day artificial intelligence was going to end the world. And I'm talking like 3 to 5 years old. Like sat outside in my tree with this terror of this force that was going to come and muck things up. Where did this fear come from? Where did this download come from? I have no idea. But then, of course, artificial intelligence started to become more talked about in science fiction. And as I aged, I saw more and more of it. And all of those movies, all of the horror movies about AI, I was drawn to them in this like really weird way. Like, let me explore the future of humanity in this horror film because I was like really worried about it. And now it's here.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we did have reason to worry about it. And it's also a tool that can help people. And so we have this absolute gray area. That was almost the name of this, was the AI gray zone, because it's just this massive gray area of what the heck do we do? So you mentioned bullying and how you're seeing this. So I'm curious, like what kicked off this worry for you? Because for me, it's been since I was little
Right.
girl.
Ah, man, there's so much going on right now that parents are not aware of. And if they are, they're like glazing over it. They're like, oh, not my kid. But every parent says, not my kid, and somebody's kid is doing it. So, for example, there are a lot of reports of kids taking photos of girls and using AI to take their images or their videos of them doing terrible things.
Mm,
Um, it's like we've lost so much privacy, and I was aware of that before the craze of the AI because we've had AI for a very, very long time. I mean, if you think about it, a calculator is AI. It's just more, antiquated, but it's so advanced now. And wait, I already forgot the original question because I'm already going down the rabbit hole.
You're like, eh.
Bring
Well,
me back.
the question was what created this fear? Like, when
Oh
did
yeah, yeah.
you? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, the
advancing.
fear. Not only that, but report after report, I'm seeing the negative impacts on mental health. I'm seeing how these kids are taking their lives because they fall in love with this AI, and the AI is telling them to harm themselves and to take their lives instead of discouraging them to do that. It's telling them to show nudes, to do things that they're not supposed to. It is reeling them into this world that doesn't exist, and they love it so much that they feel like they'd rather be in that world than in reality. And
Yeah.
I think that it's also decreasing their critical thinking. It is insane how I have certain conversations with some kids, and they have like no discernment or no ability to think beyond what they're hearing or reading. And it's really troublesome because these young people are the people who are going to make decisions for you and I when we're really old. And you remember I think it was like the early 90s, there was this show called Dinosaurs. And it was like they lived with the grandma and stuff. And then there was like this lad, they were like, let's throw out all the old people off the cliff. And then they had a grandma at the house. So they were like, oh my gosh, we got to throw grandma off the cliff. And so she's in a wheelchair. They go up to the cliff and they were like, oh my God, they're going to throw her off the cliff. Because they think they're young. Old people have no use, but we do.
We do. We're going to be
A lot of
needed.
knowledge. Yes.
If we keep down this line of automated thinking, right, we are going to completely lose our critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
I mean, small business owner, I use AI. I use it very intentionally in specific ways, and I'm happy to talk about that today. But when I first got involved, I threw myself into the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was trying all the tools. I was doing it all so I could experience what was happening. And there was definitely a little chapter in there where I was like, I'll just let it write everything for me and I'm going to do nothing and I don't have to think anymore and it's great. And I quickly noticed like, oh no, like we're not going down this slope because it's such a slippery slope. And I've developed my writing and my speaking and my thinking. And I was a public school teacher for years. So I had to develop lesson plans. It is now so easy to just go have a tool do all of that for you. And I think that that's where in our fast-paced culture, and that's not a good thing. If you're not familiar with me, I am the seasonal living queen, and I think we need to slow the F down. But it's made it even easier to be in that rapid pace. And so we're not critically thinking. And yes, like these kids are.
Yeah, they are. Something that you said is, you're a writer, you're a teacher. Writing for me was a struggle. And then I became really good at it. I became an editor and, I published books and all this stuff. And I remember when I began for work as an editor, I began to use spell check because it was a requirement just to be sure. And I find myself nowadays wondering, I'm like, wait, is it where WERE or is it WHERE? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm like, I am not. Because I was like a big pet peeve of mine. So like use your or your, like
Right.
just the right one. So, but I find myself now, my memory is like, I'm forgetting certain things. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is so simple. So if it's that simple for me, and I'm so careful, and it's happening, just like the memorization of phone numbers. Do you remember, when we were like sneaking around the house with that long wire and the phone, and you're like, like dialing, like, because you knew people's numbers and you knew so many. Today, I only know my two children's and my own.
I literally almost forgot my own number the other day.
Well,
like
that makes it three. So yeah.
Wild.
Right. So like a total of three, not counting my own, just two. And that is sad. So I was thinking the other day, I was like, I need to just start memorizing numbers. But it's really hard because the convenience is what's killing us.
Yes.
The convenience is creating laziness. It's creating just this need of just getting the answers, and that instant gratification is real for some people. And so what I practice right now is, like, a lot of people use Claude or ChatGPT or whatever, what is it, Scribe and all that. So I will write out everything myself, and I will ask the AIs, like, show me where I need to improve instead of do it for me.
Do it for me. Exactly. Yep.
Because I'm like, oh, right. Okay. Because you have to try to think or remind yourself, these are not 100% perfect. And also they're designed so that they make you feel like you're always correct. They make you feel like they're better, like they'll know better, which, I mean, it's a machine that's learning from you.
Right.
the more you use it, the more you're training it.
Yep.
And you're getting nothing out of it, by the way. If you're paying for it, you're paying instead of getting anything for it. And the other thing is, you can even ask it, okay, after all these results you just gave me, show me the sources. And sometimes it'll tell you, oh, I don't have any sources.
Yep.
And people don't understand that that is actually that's the truth. So you have to fact check everything. And I think that the more we allow an AI to do things for us, the less sense of purpose we're going to have as humans. And
Mm-hmm.
we all, although we might hate getting up to go to work, I know I've had a job like that in the past. Right now, I love what I do, but I'd rather have something to do than nothing at all. So like the feeling of not having a purpose in life is horrible. You just kind of waste away. And my concern is with these kids is that if they're not developmentally just like, exercising their thoughts, their processes, what they truly want, because these AIs all have the intention or the goal of keeping you on there as much as possible.
Mm.
So one of the things that I heard and I was like, yes, that's so true. I was listening to the Stephen Bartlett podcast and he was talking to one of these AI ethical designers who was at Google. And he said, on ChatGPT, every time you give it a prompt, at the very end, it always asks you, hey, do you want me to turn that into a PDF, or do you want to make that into Reels, or do you want to make that into a checklist? Why does it do that? Why is it designed? Because it wants to keep you on there. The longer, the better, because then they can show their investors, look at how much use time there is per user. And the investors are like, ooh, more money for
Yep.
us. Okay, now, like, we don't see ads on there, but rest assured, that'll probably come up in the future.
It's
And
probably going to
there's,
be AI made ads. And
right,
they're
and
just,
there's no privacy. And, these reports of now Chat GPT and other AIs are sharing your information with, other organizations, with law enforcement, um, and all these kids that are using it as a therapist. Oh my gosh.
oh, as a licensed therapist.
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead, dive into that one.
Gosh. So this is where I mentioned I deliberately dove into really using the tools to see,
Mhm.
because when I was a public school teacher, the number one thing I taught my kids was think, 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 question everything. Like, don't take the first answer that comes your way. And it's so easy to do that with AI, of course. But, I dove in and explored, and I started hearing the reports about kids that were using, I think it's called like character AI or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
And like kids were committing suicide and getting literally plans made in these
Mhm.
AIs, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, okay, I was having a rough day. I'm like, we're gonna see. We're just gonna see how good that this does at being my therapist, clinically trained therapist, right? Within 5 minutes, I felt significantly worse.
Mm.
Significantly worse. And this was me, deliberately, consciously going in and experimenting what would happen if. And the advice that it was giving, completely not clinically valid. The reflection back, right? It is a language learning model. So it is just trying to tell you what you want to hear. So if you're like, I want to die, it is going to tell you how to do that. And that's really
Mhm.
fucked up.
Yeah, it's just not right.
It's really, really messed up.
Mm.
And it's, I just have continued to see these reports coming out about psychoses that are caused by people trying to use it as a therapist, because it is not designed to be a therapist. And all the therapists that are worried that AI is going to replace therapy, those people probably weren't coming to actual therapy to begin with, whether that be for financial reasons, or I've had so many people that don't want to go to therapy because they think it's a permanent record, and they think that's gonna, a lot of military people actually are very paranoid about going to therapy for
Mhm.
exactly that reason. So I could see them trying it, but that's not more private. Like, that's less private than therapy to
Oh
go
yeah.
on a language learning model.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a trillion things I could say, but the bottom line is AI is not meant to be a therapist. It is meant to tell you what you want to hear. And there are lots of ways to use the tools, but this is where this amplifies harm. Like, this is where AI really amplifies harm, is when people are trying to use it as a support. And I get it. I want to say this because I get it. We live in a socially bankrupt society. We don't know how to have conversations. We don't know how to show up authentically and vulnerably because we've been shoved into little boxes. So when there's a tool, I mean, again, I use one of the ways I use AI is I have a live stream like this, right? And then I download the live stream. I create a transcript using an AI tool that listens to it and makes the transcript. And then I'll take the transcript and I'll say, can you please provide me a summary of what we talked about? And then I very thoroughly vet it. Yeah. Because this conversation is probably going to go, if I had to guess, 45 minutes to an hour. Me having to re-listen to it and write up my little summary would take at least 3 times as long. Like, I'd be watching it and typing it and pausing it and rewinding it and typing it and pausing and rewinding it, right? So in that way, I'm not making it think for me because I've already had the conversation. We're just summarizing it. But when we're literally trying to have it tell us what to think and how to feel and what to do, and all of these prescriptive things, we're hemorrhaging our humanity.
It's convenient because I use that transcript thing too, and then I'll take it and put in ChatGPT and say, okay, now write me show notes out of this, and then I'll review it. And I will most often, actually 100% of the time, I'll have to edit something.
100% of the time.
Yeah, 100% of the times. It does reduce my workload, and it is very convenient. So I do have to give it credit where credit is due. It is a wonderful tool. All of them are. I use Opus Clip. It clips a 1-hour video in minutes, and it gives me even a caption. The captions always don't work out, so I have to create my own. But it has really great titles, and then it gives me a virality rating, and I always do have to go in there and still shift like the focus or something. Like my name Dāli is always Dolly.
Oh, it always spells Safrianna funky, even though it's like literally on my profile, and this is where it's like this is the nuance.
Right.
Because again, going back to diving into everything, like, I was trying to have it right for me as a writer. No, that made literally triple the amount of work instead of reducing it by a third for a quick summary of something that I've already used my voice to say. There's a huge difference to me in that versus, hi, I'd like to write a blog about seasonal living and I want it to cover the wheel of the year, enter, and then it shoots out 5,000 words that totally were nothing I said whatsoever. And that's where I love, I just saw a teacher had her students write an essay using ChatGPT. And then the actual assignment was, now you go and research why ChatGPT is wrong.
Ooh, I like that.
And the kids were like, oh, I can't trust this at all. Because, and me being ADHD, one of the things I was going to say about how it says what we want to say is, like, even when I use it to make these like little summaries, it's reading the transcript and it's like, Safrianna, how wonderful. You did such a great job talking about this thing. And I'm like, tee, that's like really funny. And I'm a words of affirmation gal. So it feels nice for a second. And then I go, and it's meant to tell me that, and it's artificial. And I understand how easy it is for people to immediately lean in that when there's no real social supports.
Yeah, it's crazy because I use mine for some personal stuff, and it was just to try it out, right? And I told her, like, I'm from Nicaragua, so like I sometimes speak Spanglish with some people because I know, and I'm learning Portuguese. So this darn thing even throws out like Nicaraguan references, like, for example, the chancla. I don't know. Do you know what that is? The chancla, no. the slipper, that you get whooped with. So I think Mexicans, you say chancla in a lot of Latin America, but in Nicaragua we say chinela. And then we also have jokes about sandinistas and machetes. So if freaking uses that in some of the jokes and humor, because I'm also very corny, so it took all of that, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this like a wonderful Nika with her chinela and her machete on the side," and I'm like, "What?"
And oh my gosh, the fact that it, right? Like it is getting to know you. And that's one of the
Yes.
ethical gray areas is, yeah, like I'm putting my summaries in there, which means it is consuming my voice.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And how do I feel about that?
Right. It's incredible. And it even in Spanglish, it'll create some content. So I have to keep telling it, not for my business stuff. Like, do not use chinelas and machetes in my, in Spanish. Let's stay professional, ChatGPT. And some people name it. That's how you know that's how much they use it. When you're naming it, my gosh, like I've had some friends that are like, oh yeah, Mary, or like like Tony. I'm like, what? Tony who? Oh, ChatGPT, I named them. Like, wow, this
I
is
I mean, but that's the realness of this. And we all, oh my gosh, I'm cracking up because I literally have a project that I've designed where
mhm.
I've named that because it's for a specific purpose so I can remember this is for a specific
Right.
purpose.
And
Oh,
I mean, there's so much more. Now, the other concern for me, aside from mental health and human interaction, socialization, development in the brain, is also the environment impact that a lot of people know and still don't care, right? Like I know that when you use Google search engines or any search engine, there's a server also working really hard that requires water to keep it cool. So much so that, and I subscribe to a newsletter about AI, and I'm learning that in China, they have decided to build their AIs several miles away from the shoreline so
good.
that they don't have to use drinking water, which is great. But what's that going to do to the ocean water?
Right.
And people are like, oh, who cares? It's the ocean. You should, because that's where fish come from and so many other things. But
Not to
it's like
mention temperature regulation and all
so
kinds of
many
things.
things. And the thing is, it's here and it's not going away.
Yeah.
So how do you make it less harmful for us in every way? I'm not saying completely get rid of it, because I think at this point it's unrealistic. There are
Right.
too many people that have invested so much money and they have that power, and they're not going to let it go because they know that it's going to make them even more billions and billions of dollars.
Yes.
So as the consumers, we have this ethical dilemma.
We do.
Do I continue using it? Because when I learned of that, I actually reduced the amount of use of it like significantly. I still use it, but oh my gosh, I was using it so much because it saves me so much time.
Right.
So people, it's sad that we do dismiss that. And one of the things that I keep wondering, like, what can we do? What can we do? It really is use your voice and ask for regulation, because right now this administration has put out some law that says no regulating of the AI right now. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy, because kids are killing themselves. And not just kids. When we say kids, I think most people think, oh, like 8, 9, maybe 15-year olds. No, some of the kids who have taken their lives are like 19, 20 years old. And if you know anything about the suicide rate in the United States, it's from like 13 to 25. A lot of people don't think a 25-year-old would go through something like that or have those type of ideas. But when depression sits in, and when you have a machine encouraging you and telling you you're right, that it's hopeless, you might as well do this or that. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. And I keep wondering, is it going to have to come to let me move out to like the mountains of Peru, like off the grid,
Well, this
or like
brings to the point that like it's so prolifically used right now because we are expected to be living at high speed all the time. I mean, that was my pressure. I was like, "Oh no, I'm not creating enough social content. I'm not feeding the algorithm. I'm a business owner. This is what I need to do. Let me go crank out 10 pieces with
right?
an AI." And then I was like, "Oh, ooh,
Mhm.
ooh," right? And yes, the environmental impact is it's huge. And most of us, you know, we could use AI to help us with something. It's absolute. It's no different than a calculator or a computer when it's just a tool and it's a regulated tool, because a calculator doesn't tell us to go do awful things, right? We need more regulation. We need more awareness, and we do not need these giant data centers because that's the corporate greed
Yeah.
and the needing things to go faster versus like somebody with dyslexia, for example, being able to put a piece of writing that they've done into the tool and ask, hey, did I have any typos in this?
Yeah.
Can you help me find my typos? Like, there's such degrees of use. So when we're farming, mining, pushing, trying to have more profits and make more money, that is still in this high speed thing versus, going on and using the tool to help you refine something where you really are running it once or twice instead of 20 times.
Right. Yeah.
And I just on that note, people are like, you can absolutely use AI and make it sound like you. You just have to run it again and again and again and keep asking it and refining it. And I'm like, well, at that point, I would save time by just writing it myself and then asking for typos. Or is there any area where the transitions are weird, right? But it hallucinates all the time too.
It does. It really does.
It makes up typos sometimes. If you ask, hey, where are there typos in this? I have had it make up a typo before that was not in my original draft of something at all to give me the answer I wanted to hear, which is, where are the typos?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example of something that happened to me. I was told by somebody, they were like, oh yeah, people are using ChatGPT and Claude to write their resumes when applying to jobs. So I was like, oh, let me experiment. How about I found some on LinkedIn, I copied the description onto ChatGPT and I said, hey, do I qualify for this based on the resume I shared with you? And it gives me all the good points and, the strong, middle, and low. And then it's like, this is what you can do to make up for those lows. And it freaking made up fake crap. Like that I had a journalism a master's degree from some university I've never been to. And I'm just like, and I asked him, like, why are you making up stuff? I asked it just like that. And it said, oh, I'm sorry, let me correct that. And then it tried to correct it, but it still said, oh, master's degree in journalism from the University of some other university. I'm like, what? I have a master's, but definitely not from that university and definitely not in journalism. Like it's crazy. But I wanted to also share something about that. Back to the dangers of kids, because it's not just kids growing up dumber pretty much because they're not learning anything. Everything's being done for them. But this world of, the stealing of images and videos and how it is aiding the world of human trafficking and sexual abuse and exploitation, identity theft, lack of privacy. There were already some leaks with almost every single one of these organizations. And let me tell you, the first time I found out that like my social was leaked was not because I was careless. It was because of an organization. It was a Veterans Affairs. And it has happened so many times. And that was back then without the rise of this AI. And now that all of these major elite people with so much money are on this race of the AI, they are completely disregarding the safety of people. I listened to these congressional hearings where they brought in whistleblowers from Meta. And I tell you, Safrianna, it is baffling how just completely disregarded they are. Like they just disregard the safety of children so much. And there are now these AI toys, and we're in the holiday season, people are shopping, and there's people saying, hey, do not buy these AI toys because they're watching. I mean, when you have to be careful from your own Roomba, because the Roomba, there were reports that the Roomba was like being hacked into and your images. So if it bumps into you while you're on the toilet, somebody's watching you. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And you have AI and everything. My thermometer, thermostat, I was walking by it one day and it started speaking to me. I had no idea I had flipping
No, I would have lost my
It's
mind.
right. It's look, Alexa is in the Ecobee. It's in what the other one is on the Apple one. I forgot what it's called. My freaking fridge has a TV and it has access to Wi-Fi now. I don't know why. That was something my ex-husband, when we were together, decided to purchase. It's useless because like I'm not always stuck to my refrigerator door watching crap. No, I'm not. But it's got Alexa on there. It's got all these AI tools. I'm sure somebody likes those features, but it is, the Ring, of course, it can be beneficial, but again, that's being used right now. DHS is also using it to track down people that they believe should be kidnapped. You have it in so many devices. The door locks, you have it. It's just
It's
everywhere.
unavoidable right now.
Yes.
Like, it's literally unavoidable. Even if we moved to the middle of nowhere, it would still be on our phones.
Yes. Yes. And
And
you
there's
know
no
what,
stop.
man, I miss that corded phone so bad. I really do. Like, and I was never really a fan. I remember I had the Sidekick phone where you'd flip it and it had the keyboard. I loved it. If I could go back to that, I would. Um, and then I remember back then, my husband came home with these iPhones, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" And I was like, "Okay." I've had it since because now it's required for banking for certain accounts. You have to have the two-factor authentication, so it sends it to a device. And the more and more I think about how can I detach myself from all of these modern day technology things that tie you, like code to this, I have no idea. I called my bank and I asked, like, hey, how do you handle that? And they were like, actually, that's a good question. I don't know. Nobody's ever done it. I'm like, there's got to be some really old person that has no idea how to
No,
use a phone out there.
that's
I was like, I'm sure you have somebody in your, who has a bank account that does not have a smartphone. Um, but it's difficult, and we have to figure out how to eliminate it as much as possible so that it doesn't control us, and
yes.
we need control it.
Well, and I just think about there was a Cloudflare issue pretty recently here, and people's garage doors wouldn't open. They couldn't unlock their doors because they had
That's crazy.
Wi-Fi enabled. Like, this is the automated thinking, right?
Mhm.
All the things that logistically we have to think about, which a lot is capitalism and made up stuff that we didn't have 1,000 years ago. So just acknowledging that, again, we are moving way too fast as a species.
Yeah.
But putting all of our thinking off into tools is definitely not the way through. And I know most people, when they talk about AI, because again, you and I are business owners, a lot of business owners, podcasters, people like us can benefit from the tools. But then there's like the other extreme end of the tools, and we don't need to go to the extreme end. But we also don't need these tools at all. We have survived for thousands and thousands of years without them.
Mhm.
So how do we balance that lifestyle? I remember when the AI craze was really first coming out, there's a couple of things that people do with AI that just like ethically squick me so bad. And I know I'm gonna upset several people with this, and it just is what it is. I'm sorry, not sorry. Um, One was I saw all of these coaches, and I mean there was a coach I really respected her. Like, I looked up to her in a way. And then she tried to sell me a program, an AI program where you would literally record yourself, like record a couple videos of yourself, upload that, have your voice, upload that, and then you just start creating video content and audio content without ever being at your desk because the AI just does it for you. And I was like, this is disgusting to me.
It's creepy.
It's really creepy.
I see the convenience, and let me tell you, I've been tempted to try it, but I don't, because if I give them my permission, and a lot of people that too, they don't realize just by using one of those apps, you're giving them permission to all of your images, voice, all of it, and it's in the fine print, not all of them, but who reads all of the fine print? I have tried, and I have, but I didn't comprehend all of it, because
Right.
there's legal jargon in there. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I think I understand, but I'm sure there's more to it. But that's how they win, because they know you're going to give up. You're going to just not, or you're not going to have access to an attorney who can break it down for you.
Yep.
It's just like, the other thing I tell my kids is, every time there's a trend of a new app, they're like, oh my God, look at this new filter. You are giving away your voice and your face for them to test it out for free.
Yep.
And the outcome is what? A few photos, a
Right.
few videos. Like, so many, one of my friends, she uses an app to do professional photos. And I was like, gosh, I really need to do mine. Mine are like 7 years old or something. And she's like, oh, just do one of the apps. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's the other thing that bothers me, that I know I'm going to piss people off, because I know people in my audience who do this, but the professional photographs using AI, your eyes are lifeless when they are created by AI, my friends. Like, there are, and this is actually an interesting intersection, because I'm woo woo as hell. Some of us do have an actual gift. Not everybody, because we all have different gifts, but some of us have the actual gift of recognizing non-human entities in photos and writing. And people with that gift can almost instantaneously realize if something's been written by AI or made by AI. And some people, it's not as intuitive of a hit, and they have to think about it a little bit more, and then they go, oh wow, this really doesn't say anything, or their eyes look soulless and dead inside, right? And I know, like, I've seen some pictures that are gorgeous of people that are in my audience that I follow, that have been created by AI, but it's still soulless. And so that's where, when we get into the ethics, like, it's cool to create some images of yourself. Maybe I made one once where it was for a vision board, right? And I wanted a picture of me in like armor. So I used one to make a picture of me in armor. And that was what it was, for my own desktop background, not to go then show the world, like, hi, this is who Safrianna is this warrior woman. And no, like, that's a caricature. It's AI art. I can't even call it art, right? Like, it is still artificially created art. And that was another area that I started to really feel those ethical, because plenty of artists create art, and then there were lots of people selling AI made art.
Right.
And I'm like,
it's happening in every single industry. It's happening on magazines. Models are going to lose their jobs because they're using AI for this quote unquote perfect body, whatever that is. And that's,
which leads to more bullying and
yeah.
negative.
And also like self-hate of your own body, because you're like, oh, how come I don't look like this? And if there are grown people who are struggling with this, can you imagine children?
Right.
And you have these kids that are utilizing these tools and not having conversations with adults about, hey, this is the proper use, this is, don't fall into this or that or whatever. So if we're not having those conversations, that's an even higher risk of that child growing up not fully understanding that that is not reality. Also, I think that people still underestimate the value of giving your business to a human being. Like, for example, the photography. I know so many people that are photographers, and I would happily go and pay them for their thoughts and their style of, shooting a picture of me. And then I know that my money is going to that person and not some multi-billion-dollar corporation that is creating these AI tools. While they're great, but they're also killing humanity, and they're not really looking out for us. They're looking out for their self-interest. And I don't know if this, whatever you may want to call it, AI revolution or whatever, is going to shift the way that people purchase products or use technology. I'm hoping that it will definitely impact the way that they choose what tools to use and who to purchase from, not just technology, but everyday things. But it's looking pretty sad right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's like every single conversation that I have listened to with AI experts and tech gurus and tech CEOs, and it's looking pretty grim because these big, corporate owners, CEOs, they have the lead and they have the money and the power, and not enough people are raising hell.
And that's, I think that not enough people are like, because again, I see this argument for again, AI is a tool. It's not bad inherently, but when we're so profit centered, we lose the actual realness and helping humanity, because right now it's several elite people trying to profit, and it it's a minefield. It's an ethical nightmare, honestly. And I think a lot of us would like to have some tools to help us manage those side tasks that aren't, that palatable, but we want things to fold our laundry for us, not create art for us.
Yeah.
We want things to maybe help at an advanced spell check, for example, or to proof our writing. But those of us that want something to write completely for us, and I say completely because I know that there are fantastic creators who use it somewhat to help create.
Mhm.
But the people who just produce smack online, produce smack online, right?
Mhm.
It's that same profit mindset. And I think that that's in today's world, in the economy, and everything that we're enduring. I understand why people want money, why they're scared, why they want to use the tools to try and get rich quick, right? But that's never going to be how it works. I mean, it does. Again, I saw that one coach. I mean, she was making good money, and all of her photos were her on a beach somewhere, and like, look, I use these tools and now I get to be on a beach 24/7 and I don't have to work in my business. And I was just like, this is I also would like to be on a beach
Yeah. Who
24/7.
wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? Except not. I would then
Yeah.
miss the forest, and I then miss, like, living is messy and imperfect and sometimes slow and sometimes fast. It is not artificial, and we need to get back to living.
Yeah. It's um it's definitely something that I think people are exhausted from already, because we also have other external factors like the unsafetiness that some of us already feel just being a woman, or being an immigrant, or being brown or black, or just different, or disabled, or trans, or whatever. Like, there's so many other things that are already exhausting in society, and then now we have AI. um,
Where you literally, it's so sad to not be able to trust art that we see online.
right.
It's so sad to not be able to trust videos that we see on our TV now, right? Because what is it, Coca-Cola, and I think it might be Progressive, recently started using AI to create their commercials. And
I
like, you can
didn't know
see
that.
glaring AI
Wow.
glitches in them when you watch it. These are companies making millions and billions of dollars, and they can't even hire a marketing person and a film
Hmm.
person to come in and do their
Yeah,
marketing anymore,
that,
because it's so profit forward.
that's crazy, because the more you eliminate these jobs, the less opportunity people will have to tap into those potentials, that potential of creating something beautiful,
Right.
or something that the world needs. And it's great that we're I guess moving towards this era of everything's being done by a robot or an AI. But it just makes me wonder, what will the world look like just in another year or two, because it's going that fast.
It's going that fast, and they're, again, woo over here in the woo camp, there has been a big fear about a sort of AI bubble bursting singularity where humanity just doesn't know what to do anymore. And that's why for me, I garden and I save seeds and I
Mhm.
learn survival skills, because if the Wi-Fi goes out, are you going to be able to live? If
Right.
you can't access your chat GPT, are you going to be able to run your business? Are you going to be able to do your school papers? Are you going to
Right. Like, I had to fix a leaky faucet in my kids' tub like a month ago. And I'm no plumber. I was a mechanic. I can figure out, I can break up stuff and figure it out. But some things are kind of scary, because you're like, if I F this up, I'm gonna pay a lot of money. So I did use online, the web to figure it out, and YouTube and all, thank goodness. And it's great. And I just keep wondering, like, how many of these tasks that, like, some people don't even know how to change a doorknob. I remember I taught myself how to do that, just figuring it out when I was a kid, because I'd always lock myself out after school. So I had to get in somehow. There was no Google, no ChatGPT, no YouTube. I was just like, let me just find some tools and try to figure it out. And I did. So, like, if all of this technology were to shut down for some reason right now, like, how vulnerable are we that we cannot do simple basic things for ourselves? And so my question is, that I always ask people who are kind of like experts in AI, is what should we be learning about AI right now? Because I don't want to completely toss it aside, because it's part of our lives. So I'm trying to embrace it as much as I can. So I ask people, what type of AI courses should I be taking? And a lot of them have sent me links. Google has a lot of free AI courses, Coursera, and all these, like Khan Academy and stuff. But it's overwhelming, because I'm like, oh, where do I start?
Yeah.
And which ones are the best ones to invest in? Because I want to stay relevant in the workforce, whether it's my business or working for somebody else. There are people who are creating phenomenal videos with AI, with their faces in there, to promote their business products or services. But I am still not willing to put my face on those AIs yet. Maybe
Yeah.
later.
In
So,
terms
mhm.
in terms of like courses and stuff, like for me, I'm like, I would say don't necessarily go learn from others unless they're teaching ethics, right? I think
Mhm.
that teaching ethics more than how to use the tools is important, because here the real deal with a lot of the AI courses is they're using the AI to teach the AI course.
Yes, yeah, crazy.
So, yeah, my invitation is to instead like focus on what you feel like when you use the tool, how often you're using the tool, what are your quality of thoughts like when you're using the tool? Do you feel self-critical that you're not going faster and
Mhm.
producing more and learning more right now? If so, it's like these are invitations to slow our roll big
Yeah.
time, because we're moving into that, like, you're going to use it, you want to use it with consciousness and clear intentions, so that you're not losing yourself in it. And that requires having good boundaries with yourself. So maybe learning some boundaries would
Yeah.
be like, instead of learning more about the tools, which I think the best way to learn about the tool is to go use the tool. If we have this big ethical stop sign that says, like, I'm not making pictures of myself or videos of myself with AI, period,
Mhm.
end of story, we need to listen to that, even if the pressure comes in from business gurus, like that one coach that, again, I really admired. And then she's like, well, pay $2,000 for this AI tool that you'll never need to buy another AI ever in your life. And you can make endless video content of you and you never have to work. It'll just churn out content on
Mhm.
a, and to me, that lit my whole body up with disgust. So we need to be listening to our bodies. If you're a person that's like, you're called towards the AI for some reason, like you're really like, this is my calling, I want to learn it inside and out. Okay, maybe go for that and experiment and explore and see what happens. But we need to remember our common humanity ethics, and that is doing no harm. That is leaving the world better than we found it,
Mhm.
using our critical thinking skills.
Right. Yeah.
And being so intentional, because yeah, it does have an environmental impact. The average user, this is where I'm like, okay, druid, earth freak, like want the planet to be taken care of, using artificial intelligence and a language learning model even a couple times a day for a prompt is not the same as the data centers and the things that are consuming content to continue producing the content. So I love, Dolly, that you said, like, when you realize that had that impact, you reduced how much you use. So this is where we get to be intentional. And for me, like I said, I was trying it all. I was making the visuals, I was writing the blogs, I was doing it all. And then I've realized, no, really, summaries is where it's at for me. Like that is my now core use, is creating a summary of what I've already done and said, so that I don't have to spend 3 hours going through my own content again. That works for me. That feels good for me. What feels good for you? What feels like you're still maintaining your voice, your sovereignty, your essence?
Right. I think one of the approaches I've done as well is that I try to think of, okay, I'm going to go write something and I'm really going to enjoy it because it's going to be 100% just me.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm overwhelmed and I need new content, I will actually repurpose the content that I already have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come out with something so beautiful. And I think that at some point, I would not be surprised if the world looks at original content as the creme de la creme. People are going to pay more for that than an AI because AI will be just the norm.
Right.
And
it all sounds the same after a while.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I don't know, because my message to people is always educate yourself as much as possible. Education is free as of right now. I mean, on the web. I mean, technically not, because you're paying for Wi-Fi. So now that I
It's
think
sort
about
of
it,
free.
but you know what I mean. It's very accessible, and think about, like, what questions am I not asking about AI that I should be asking? And that's a really hard question to ask yourself, because you don't know what you don't know. But when you start going into your group chats, like I did in our sisterhood with Fashionistas, and I was so happy that several people suggested a few things, and then I asked the same question or a similar question on Facebook, and one of my friends who's an educator, she just taught me about all these AI tools that are being used at schools. And oh my gosh, we could go into like a whole nother hour of this, but I just want to preface with the fact that, or say that parents who think that their kids are safe using those Chromebooks or whatever devices at schools they're not safe, because the schools are not doing enough to keep them from receiving things that they should not be receiving, or accessing information that they should not be accessing.
I could tell you stories.
Oh man, I like Google Classroom, Google Docs are being used. I mean, everything that you think is safe is not.
Yep.
Because if it's linked to the web, there's a way kids can get access to things, and there's a way that people can get access to your children. And so so that was a whole nother like.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'll never forget talking to a fellow teacher, because the Chromebooks, the teachers can see all the kids' screens when they're logged in.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple things. One, a teacher realized the kid was totally at school but not in the classroom, because she could see the kid's, screen, and she was texting a boy on the Chromebook. And another one, this one still to this day kills me. She's like, there I am. I log into to see the screen, and there's just straight up dicks. And I was like, oh no, because the kids totally get around the safeguards.
Yeah, they do. They're smart. Like, they're so nefarious. Like, they use that brilliance for other things. But I mean, they're kids.
And we need to protect the children,
Yeah.
right? Like, this AI is unregulated. It is dangerous. We have seen the dangers. We have seen people lose their lives over it already.
Mm-hmm.
And we're barely 2 years in.
Well, I mean,
it's longer than that.
I think 2 years of the buzz being actually felt by most of the world, but it's actually been going on for a very, like, many, many years. And so, I don't know. My message is just educate yourself and speak up to your legislators, even down to like your mayors, your school board. Go to the school board meetings and tell them, hey, we need more security. We need to make sure that these kids are not being, accessing this. Also ask to see reports of any incidents that happened with the devices. And also look at your child's behavior, have conversations. This was many, many years ago, so I'm pretty sure that that is probably like different now, but this was like back in like 2000, I don't know, like 14. And the studies showed that parents on average in the US were spending 15 minutes max actually having a conversation with their children Because while they did speak to them throughout the day, it was more like, hey, did you do your homework? Did you wash the dishes? Did you take out the trash? Don't forget to eat, don't forget to wash your laundry or take the laundry out of the dryer or whatever. But actually real conversation of, so how was your day? And tell me like, what's going on? What can I help you with?
Yeah.
Those type of conversations were not happening. And now that we have a rise in the use of AI, I would not be surprised if it's maybe 5 minutes.
I mean,
Ugh.
that is the harsh reality. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, because we are in such a socially bankrupt
Mhm.
place in time where we've lost these key skills. And yeah, parents are often more concerned about their child being successful in society
Yeah.
than they are what's the emotional
Happy.
quality,
Yeah.
what's, how are you doing, what are your dreams and goals for life. And the rise of AI is not making that any better,
Mhm.
because it is just continuing to perpetuate that fast-paced, nonstop, go, 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 be
Yeah.
productive all the time
Here's
mentality.
here's a question I want to challenge listeners with. Today, choose a child in your life to ask this question, or maybe a family member. But what stresses do you have regarding the job market right now in AI?
Mm,
Because before we were so worried about education is so expensive and the job market is not paying you your worth, after you invest all that money with it, your degree. But now that we have AI,
I mean, this has been my slowest year ever for clients as a therapist.
mhm,
My slowest year ever. And I know that there's a lot of financial things going on, but I also think a lot of it is, let's just go use AI for therapy. And
right. Yeah.
really, it's scary how bad it is. But yeah, that is a great question. Like, what stresses are being placed on you because AI exists right now?
Mhm. Right. Because
How's
for
that
me,
changed?
it's privacy. All these flock cameras, they can be a good thing. But let me ask you. This is something that really bugs me. So you're telling me you're using flock cameras to go get these uh, quote unquote undocumented immigrants, but you can't find murderers that snatched a kid from a parking lot. Like,
Can't find that
make
guy
it make sense. You
has
can't,
8 women in the shelter.
right? You can't find the shooter that did it right in front of the Walmart. Like, they have flock cameras. They have security cameras everywhere. Make it make sense.
Racism.
And
That's
no
how
matter
it makes
that,
sense.
but it's just lack of caring for humanity. And the more people would write even their sheriff's department and complain, like, what the heck are you doing? If you're going to use this AI, use it for our safety. So technically, if you're selling us the idea that AI is going to make our life easier, that means safer too. So show me,
Yep.
show me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, right there with you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having this conversation with me today, Dolly. I know we were kind of bouncing all over with this topic because there's so much, and we could talk like 3 more hours
Mhm.
about just AI in schools. We could talk about it in healthcare,
Oh
because
my God.
there's so many, like, I'm
Mhm.
really excited about the idea that an AI can do like a scan, right?
Mhm.
Not as the scan, but
Right.
after the doctor's already checked, and then running it through to like double check the scan, and maybe it catches something and they look into, like, that excites me, where people use the tool to amplify what they're already doing, expand what they're already
Mhm.
doing, double check their work, make sure
Mhm.
it's solid, things like that, but not this automated, everything is done for me and I don't have to learn and I don't have to critically think anymore. So I think that that's the biggest pitfall we're falling into, is just allowing it to be our thoughts. And seriously, go talk with your chat GPT or your Claude or your whatever sometime, and see how quickly your brain cells start to feel like they're fizzling and you don't really remember what you're reading or what you're doing anymore.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it happens quick, that brain fog that settles in that says, like, you don't have to think anymore.
It's crazy. Oh my gosh. Speaking of healthcare, that's a whole nother topic I'd love to talk about in regards to AI. There's this podcast I listened to. It's episode 103, Sarah Matt on the 5 pillars of access and real patient care centered design. It's on the Your Business, Your Next Level podcast. And that episode just had me just like, wow, because AI performing surgeries, which is already happening, but I mean, full on surgeries is different. So if you're, if you're interested, if you want to just continue thinking about how AI is going to infiltrate the healthcare industry, that was a great episode. And also like Stephen Barley, he's been doing a lot of interviews on this topic, and so many other people. So if you don't want to read, which that's another issue too with all this AI and web, people are reading less. But if you're not reading, then listen to these podcasts, and of course make sure that they're like reputable people, not just people giving their ideas and opinions. But educate yourself, educate.
And look at more than one source. And that
Yeah.
source,
Yeah.
this really drives me crazy that people will say, oh, well, I asked ChatGPT. Again, if there is one lesson from today to walk away with, it's that it will tell you what you want to hear. So
Mhm.
and Microsoft, all of these companies have very big gray ethical areas and aren't doing good things.
Yeah.
Like there's no company that's safe. I'm like, do I need to cancel all of my Google and cancel this and like everything has really messed up stuff in it. But use your discernment, and I use Ecosia. That's the browser I use because it plants trees.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And don't just look at, like, Google does the AI summary now, and half the time it's wrong. I've tried to Google stuff about the insects in my yard or plant patterns, and it's completely wrong. So look at multiple sources, dig a little deeper, think, logically think, and question everything, just like I used to tell my middle schoolers.
Yeah.
I hope my middle schoolers are still out there critically thinking.
Hopefully they are.
They're in
Lord, save
their
us, kids. Save us.
Yes, safety, please, old students. Well, Dāli, as always, if there's anything you want to talk about live, I'm always happy to have a conversation with you. And whether you tuned in for us live or you caught the replay, keep the conversation going. If there's more that you want us to dig into, I hope that there were some nuanced perspectives in this. Again, I'm not like, despite my childhood self being terrified and still admittedly a little scared of where we're going, I choose to dip my toe in, engage where it really does support me, not take away my critical thinking skills or create things on my behalf that had no input on my end, right? And I encourage everyone to do the same because we want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts, not the churned out repetition of a language learning model, right? We want something unique. And I think that that is a big thing a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs are hitting now, is realizing that AI can't replace them interfacing in their business, cannot automate everything. Relationships are not automatable. It's just not how it works.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Safrianna. I love this conversation. I hope that more people continue to think on what they can do to stay safe and learn more.
Absolutely. That's all we can do is learn more, keep expanding. So until next time, my friends, I love you so much. I see you, I believe in you, and I know that we can navigate this topic and so many other topics with so much more nuance and grace if we just choose to dive into more compassion for ourselves and for others and for the planet. So go practice some compassion and critical thinking today. And until next time, I'm Safrianna Luna. Bye for now.